Hi there, I'm Jenna from scribblinggrace.com. Today I'm going to be painting a simple little flag in my journaling Bible for 4th of July coming up. So I am going to be doing my American flag, but I do just want to recognize that I know that I have a lot of international followers. So I just want to say hi to you and thank you for following along. And I would encourage you to create your own flag. If you haven't and if you'd want to. And whether you're American or not, I'd love to see your flag pages. So be sure to tag me on social media, Scribbling Grace, so that I can see those. All right, so the verse I'm working on today is 1 Peter 2, verse 16, which says, "Live as free people, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Live as God's slaves." Um, so I felt like that was a pretty good verse to do a flag on. I'm feeling just super thankful for the country that I live in and just thankful for my freedom in Christ as well. So I am using just a small 1/4 inch flat paintbrush, and I'm using two colors, three total. I have a red and a blue and a gray for the pole, but you could also use a black for the pole as well. And I'm just trying to kind of keep this sort of a messy flag. I didn't want it to be like this super straight, perfect flag. You can see that I'm totally just taking that flat paintbrush and the blue paint and dabbing it around. I'm gonna make it into a square shape, and I did use a pencil beforehand to give a basic, very basic guideline of where I was gonna put my square and where I was gonna put my lines. But other than that, I really wanted it to be unplanned and just kind of go with the flow. And I think that that also takes a lot of pressure away from trying to create that perfect Bible journaling page as well. So I'm all for the kind of messy pages a little bit. So now I'm just adding in my stripes. So you can see that obviously I didn't leave my stars yet. I'm going to go back over with some white paint pen to add my stars. And so for now, I just have that blue background for the square where the stars are going to go, and then I'm adding in my stripes. So there's 7 red stripes, and there's 4 red stripes that connect to the blue, and then 3 at the bottom. And I, again, was just going for really quick and easy, no stress, kind of whimsy-ish flag, I guess. So my lines are not perfect at all. I just kind of made a little curve to them, and the only way I'm using my brush, I'm just using that flat 1/4 inch paintbrush and just pressing down and moving it along my page. You can see that where I start my lines, it's a little bit darker red as to when I get to the end of my line. That's because the pigment's falling off that paintbrush, and I really liked that effect. And I also didn't want my lines to be totally perfectly straight. Because I'm working on Bible paper, the watercolor does dry really quickly on top of it. So if I had just gone over with water on top of the lines on watercolor paper, those lines would just disappear. But since I used Bible paper, those lines dried so quickly that I didn't even have to dry them at all before I went back over them with some water. And that way I just kind of, it helped to just kind of blend the lines a little bit. I didn't really wash my red paintbrush before I added some water on top of it so that it kind of has like a little bit of pinkish tone to the white. I just wanted it to blend in a little bit better. And you can see that up near the pole part where the red is, that part kind of blended together a little bit as well. And I loved how that turned out. And now I'm just splattering my red and my blue colors around my page. So I'm just using that same flat paintbrush and just whipping it on my finger, on the tip of my finger, to splatter it around the page a little bit. And I felt like it just kind of gave that finishing touch. I did switch to a larger flat paintbrush to see what kind of splatters that would create. And it created the same types of splatters, just more of them. So yeah, I really, I'm a big fan of some splattered paint, I guess. So now I'm going to go ahead and paint the pole. So I am using a gray color from my Kuretake Ganzatambi watercolor set. Which is already made. But if you don't have this set or you don't have a gray color, you can absolutely just use like a black and a lot of water and just a tiny bit of that black to create a gray. And I use that same flat paintbrush, just instead of doing big horizontal lines, I just use that paintbrush vertically to create thin lines, and just created a really nice small little pole. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm adding my stars. So I didn't want to make the perfect lines for the stars. I wanted it to keep going with my somewhat messy flag. So I just kind of started doing somewhat of star shapes, but some of them are more scribbles than star shapes, all around that blue section. So I didn't really do a pattern to it. I just kind of wanted to quickly add those stars, so it kept with my messy-ish looking flag here. So I tried to do 50, but I kind of lost count, so I think I have more than 50 here. But that's okay. And of course, if you would rather be more precise about it, you absolutely could be. I also used my Uniposca paint pen, the extra fine tip, to do those stars, but you could totally use a gel pen as well. And I also want to point out that yes, I did go over the text of this page here, but I still can read all of the text underneath, even underneath the white paint. I can still read it, so that's just something to keep in mind. But I personally don't read from my journaling Bibles. I have other Bibles that I read and study from, but I get asked that a lot. So now I'm going to go ahead and I am adding my lettering. I am writing out, live as free people, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Live as God's slaves, which again is 1 Peter 2, verse 16. And I am using a different pen than I normally use today. This is the Tombow Mono drawing pen, a size 3 pen, I believe, or size 03 tip. Normally I don't use these because they do tend to bleed through, and I did have a couple dots of bleed through on the back side of this page. Normally I would use a micron pen, which I've never had any issues with bleed through on. So if you're looking for just a mono tip pen, which is what this is, it's just a nice simple little felt tip pen, I would go for the micron pens rather than the Tombow Mono drawing pen. But this is the drawing pen is the one I had on hand, so that's what I use because we don't need to get too crazy about it. And you could also just use a ballpoint pen as well if you're just going for something simple like this. And I just did kind of a scribbly cursive handwriting of my own handwriting rather than doing some fancy lettering. But you could also do fancy lettering. You could also use stamps or stickers. There's so much that you could do to make this page your own. And so I would love it if you did end up creating a flag inspired by this, to please share it with me. I really want to see it. And I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll show you the backside, and you can see there is a little bit of bleed through from the pen, but I will put all the links to the supplies I used in the blog post that goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/flag, and I'll put the micron pen linked in there rather than the pen that I did use. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I hope that you have a wonderful day. God bless.